Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Motion of council to approve the change of venue due to compliance with the current directives of the province of New Brunswick regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. Moved by Councillor Allison, seconded by Deputy Mayor Harris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. I would like to mention that Councillor Cook sent his regrets. He was not unable to join us this evening. Opening prayer. Chris, can I ask you?
Sure. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we invite you to join us for this council meeting here in St. George tonight. We thank you for the members of our council. We ask you to bless them. We thank you for the loosening of restrictions, allowing others to join us. We pray for continued improvement regarding the number of cases and the delivery of the COVID-19 vaccine here in New Brunswick. Continue to keep all of us safe during this time. Be with this council tonight and share your wisdom with them. Lead them towards positive ends and to build St. George into a prosperous and growing community. Thank you for being with us tonight and use this council for your mighty plans. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chris. I get a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion made by Councillor Allison,
Second.
seconded by Deputy Mayor Harris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Approval of minutes of previous council meetings. Regular meeting of council, February 8th, 2021.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councillor Allison, seconded by Deputy Mayor Harris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Closed door meeting of council, February 16th, 2021. Moved by Deputy Mayor Harris,
I'll second it.
seconded by Councillor Allison. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Closed door meeting of council, March 1st, 2021.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councillor Allison,
I'll second it.
seconded by Councillor Murray. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Declaration conflict of interest.
I have one, your worship, for 12B, retendering of Visitors Information Center. I will be stepping in.
Thank you very much, Councillor Allison. Moving on to the fire report, Chief Morton.
First thing, I didn't do very good math. For the month of February, we responded to 7 incidents. 1 incident was inside of town. And 5 were outside of town. That should be 6 were outside of town. As far as personnel, we have a former firefighter that is applied to rejoin the department. So I've made that as a recommendation to council. This firefighter is firefighter 2 trained and is not a first responder, so that's a bonus. In other training, I've mentioned firefighter 1 has been going on. The candidates wrote their Lot 1 exam on the 27th of, and that says March, I should have said February. When's the dates tonight?
It's the next kind of day.
They're gonna write block 2 on March 20th. And Captain Dugan and Deputy Chief At continue working on their JPRs towards Fire Officer 1. We also have some of our firefighters that are working on driver operator, which is the pump course. So that's going on as well. As far as equipment, Unit 451 and when get the batteries replaced, the ones we took out had stamps on them from 2007, so we got pretty good life out of those. So didn't realize they were that old. And we got the oil change to 469. So that's the highlights for this one.
What is JPRs?
Job performance requirements. And that's a fancy word for practical training. So they do the theory, the classroom part, and they have to go and actually do assignments related to
Okay,
what they learned in class.
perfect.
And in some courses, that's where all the work is.
Yeah,
Classrooms, for instance, fire officer, I think if we had in the classroom 24 hours, but it probably takes them probably 40 to 50 hours to do all the assignments. I got with it, so pretty in depth.
Good. Thank you. Anybody else got questions?
I'd like to make a motion that we hire Chris
Accept.
as a probationary firefighter.
Motion made by Deputy Mayor Harris, accept Chris Chappelle as a probationary firefighter. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Counselor Allison. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Moving on to Building and Planning Report. Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission. Alex.
Thank you, Your Worship. There's a property that the town of St. George is in the process of subdividing off the former Route 1. I was in discussion with the CAO about what the zoning of the property would be from a formerly closed street. And so planning determined that it would be zoned highway commercial by default, according to section 2214 of the zoning bylaw. The adjoining property is also zoned highway commercial. So that's how it works in the zoning bylaw. The commission is still working on a background study for St. George Municipal Plan update. So background data, filing information in that regard. We worked with the CEO just to provide a template form that Public Works used for alterations of public right of way. We worked with similar municipalities. Similar forms with other municipalities, just to help kind of do the process better for when you want to do curb cut or green driveway. And then the planners could also look at it for zoning issues as well. So it just kind of gets everybody in the same form. Item that the CEO could use and adapt as he wishes. The planning committee reviewed a file for a large industrial expansion to True North Salmon. This required a terms and conditions application and variance because they were going into a light industrial zone. There's a large property that's behind a curb plant, 23 hectares. So there was some commentary from the community and they reviewed that. And the main condition that was set from the planning committee was to deal with the lighting, make sure that it's night sky friendly. There's also going to be a terms and conditions and variance application the committee's going to be looking at next week for two 4-unit apartment buildings on 10 School Street. So that'll be coming up. That hasn't been decided yet, and but you can certainly tune in and provide views. So development update. There's not been any new permits since the last report. There's been 1 building permit issued to date, 3 development permits. Total value roughly 160,000. No new sign permits, but 1 subdivision is being processed, and I believe it's actually the town of St. George's subdivision application. It may have been processed already by the time of this report. I have a provincial update. So the Building Code Administration Act is now in force. This adopted the 2015 National Building Code, and all municipalities and LSDs are affected by this. So St. George has 1 year to update its building bylaw, bring in compliance with this new code and new act. There is going to be differences, and there's fewer things the town can exempt from building permits now. So what I'll do will be giving council a more detailed update and report on what that would mean. But we're going to give you a sample building bylaw to discuss, and we'll try to basically look into how we do that, because it's kind of uncharted territory for us too, because it's a new act and new regulation. But we'll give you a report in the coming month or so. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Alex? No? Thank you very much, Alex. Moving on to delegations. I see we have none. General reports, general government. This past month, we've had 2 serious incidents within our town, both without any conversations by the RCMP to town officials. Again, I have to stress the importance of our much missed monthly reports and open dialogue. Speaking for the town and as a resident myself, I feel we need to be more informed and kept current. We pay an annual amount of $450,000 and feel the price tag should include a monthly report at the least. It's sad when we have to learn things happening via Facebook. Eagles Nest, St. Mark's Cemetery, benches on Main Street. All projects are awaiting external approval or timelines. Coastal Link Trail, town staff has met with the staff from Coastal Link Trail to discuss the upcoming investment of the trail here in town. It is expected that work will start this summer. This is a continuation of the trails in St. Stephen and St. Andrews that you've been reading about in the St. Croix Courier. Canal rebuild, application submitted to province on rebuild for 2021. We're awaiting our response. Apartment project, which Alex just spoke of, is 10 School Street, 2 apartment buildings, 4 units in each. PRAC meeting will be on March 18th. GMB surplus land awaiting on final survey and discussion from ERD. Exit 52 property. We are now waiting a PID number from the Land Registry Office. The parcel will be accepting zoning from boarding land, which is highway commercial. The St. Mark's is continuing leading a community builders network. Their next meeting is scheduled for March 11th. One member of our public works has gone out on a short leave, and we wish him all the best and speedy recovery. The business office, we're still looking at promoting the office upstairs, office 2B, as a business office opportunity for administrative business meetings, virtual meetings, etc. That's everything I had. Does anybody have anything? No. Going on to EMO status update.
Thank you, Your Worship. As of today, March the 8th, there were 36 active cases in the province with 3 in hospital. Start of the pandemic, there have been 1,460 confirmed cases with 28 related deaths. And as of 12:01 a.m. this morning, all zones of the province re-entered the yellow phase. Although improvements have been made to increase the access to testing in rural areas, one of the biggest gaps has been with helping people understand that they may be able to access testing without having to drive to St. John. Residents should be made aware that the Fundy Medical Center in Blacks Harbor offers COVID-19 testing a drive-through. All testing requires an appointment to be booked either by calling 811 or using the self-referral form, and participants can select Blacks Harbor from a drop-down list of locations. However, testing is limited to certain days, no testing, for example, on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And remember, testing is available should residents experience even one of the symptoms related to COVID-19, and results are provided within 24 to 48 hours. That's all I have, Your Worship.
Thank you.
I just have one comment. The testing has been extended. They are doing Thursday, Friday,
Okay,
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday.
perfect. Thank you. Okay, moving on to community service partners. Town events this summer. The town continues to monitor guidelines and restrictions by the province regarding the pandemic. It hopes to have a few outdoor events planned for this summer. We expect that due to the pandemic, we will likely not have the regular summer fest as done in previous years, but we hopefully will be able to get something pulled together. Water and sewage, Acting Deputy Mayor Harris.
Water, wastewater report. Average water consumption for February was 769.4 cubic meters for a total of 22,298.5 cubic meters. There was no E. coli or coliform reported. All levels were low or stable. Consumption of the month was low because of a glitch in the well number 3 scatter reporting. A second leak on the end of the line on South Street was repaired on Thursday the 4th. All the bolts on the T feeding an 8-inch lateral were rotten and the T was leaking. We repaired as many bolts as possible. Line now affected by anodes that takes the hit instead of metal parts. A current board on a frequency drive number 1 at the booster station was replaced, as well as a data cable on all 3 controllers as they were being jammed when the connection door were closed. Cabinet door was closed, sorry. Motor for number 1 and 2 pumps have also had bearings replaced. The CO1 as the grease fittings on the motor has little effect on lubricating the bearings. Backhoe has 1,000 hour service done. Cutting edge on the plow and snow bucket were flipped to get maximum usage. 12 new hydrant markers were brought to upgrade the ones that were fiberglass. The fiberglass ones purchased earlier are causing a problem that they cannot, or that they deteriorate in the sun. If you grab them with your hand, that is a safety issue. So they replace them. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions? Moving on to transportation. Counselor Cook is absent. Jason, could you read?
Yes, your worship. The heat pumps at the Civic Center have been serviced. The two urinals had the valves replaced, and the steel has been bought to fix the roof this spring. So the roof here of the Civic Center. When we remove the HVAC unit from the roof, there's been a consistent source of water leaking in the main hall. So that will be hopefully fixed. A new aluminum cover for the griddle has been installed at the Civic Center as well. This will protect the surface when not in use. New taps were installed in the fire hall as the current one was not rigged enough to handle the hose installed there. A new bench for the corner of Wallace and Brunswick has arrived. It was put together and placed in storage barn at the community garden for the remainder of the winter. Be installed this spring. After the removal of the former car wash at 79 Main Street, we cut off the gates on trail number 4, so there were no obstructions in the trail. The trackless suffered a fuel leak during the storm of the 23rd. It was under warranty. We had to wait for the part. That meant the crew had to shovel the upper bridge and sidewalk. The trails along the sidewalk at the post office have been removed. The stumps will be taken out this spring. New plugs have been bought for the light poles on Main Street. The current ones are nearly 30 years old, as they were carryover from the original concrete poles. Poles without plugs will be done first, allowing lights to be put up on all the poles next year. Snow has been hauled from the cul-de-sacs at Hillcrest and Kennedy subdivision, as well as the parking lots. Cutting edges were replaced on the 1 and 2 tons. It should last the rest of the winter. That is all I have.
Just one comment. I was talked to a resident today, and they wanted me to thank whoever was doing the sand and salting on the walkways today. It was a really good job.
Wonderful. The lights we have on our poles, we're going to keep those up a while longer. Huh?
Yeah, I think the intention is to leave them up for at least another month.
Okay, great. Tourism, Counselor Allison.
I have nothing to report at this time, Your Worship, for February.
Thank you. Economic Development, Counselor Murray.
All right, so masks are still mandatory in all public spaces. Horizon Health has now made medical grade masks mandatory in all facilities. We have been working closely with many contractors for housing development in the town and look forward to growing our community. And that is all.
Thank you. On to bills paid and payable in the principal to February 28th, 2021, in the amount of $167,877.82.
I make that motion.
Motion made by Counselor Allison,
I'll second that.
second by Counselor Murray. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
In the Public Works Bay, currently right now they are hot water fans. System's pretty old and really not really efficient. So this would be to bring those bays up to sort of a better utilization of power and heat. And they're so inefficient at times. Sometimes the snow is not being melted off of some of the vehicles this winter. So we'd like to upgrade that. And certainly with our men, they spend a lot of time in those bays too. And some of them even eat their lunches there. So that tend to be pretty cold. So we do have a quote here with Easy Gas. It was the lowest of the quotes that we received. Easy Gas is at total install, subtotal is $8,872. So of course that's unbudgeted. That's why this is being brought before council today.
Just one question on the quote. It says core holes not included. Who's going to do the prep work for that?
What was it, the core holes?
On line supply and install 4-inch VN through the walls for fresh exterior core holes not included.
So just the drilling of the core holes.
So we're gonna be doing that work?
Yeah, we can do that.
Any other questions on that?
Should be included. Yeah. We drill it 3 inches of one way, the other, and the hose will go line up.
Yeah, we wouldn't do it unless there's, certain guidance from them too.
I guess I'm looking for a motion on this.
I'll make that motion.
Motion,
Better be.
motion by Counselor Murray for the heating system in the Public Works area for the easy gas. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Counselor Allison. Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried.
So those are the cans.
Retender of the Visitor Information Center. Counselor Allison is stepping out.
So your worship, this is for the retendering of the Visitor Information Center, last tender in 2016. It is due for 2021. And the particulars on the tendering is in the past, we've done multi-year tendering. And within the past tenders annually, there was also an allotment of $15,000 towards that vendor that would be whoever would be the successful winner, I guess, of this tendering. So this would be for whether or not to tender the Visitor Information Center for I guess would be future years, not just 2021, but for probably another 5 years again.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Whether we want to tender or not for this year?
Can you speak on it before?
We should have a
Because I
motion.
just don't want to have a motion and I just want to speak about it first. Okay? Or you want a motion first?
We'd like to have a motion first. We should definitely have a discussion on this, yes.
We have a discussion.
Sure, we'll have a discussion first.
You starting?
I'm just wondering if, I know we got to start thinking outside the box when it comes to DIC Center. I understand that. I just don't, and I have the feeling that, you lose it, you're gonna, probably won't get it back. We talked about different things and I've talked to different people, residents in the area, and they're thinking maybe, maybe we could promote it in town itself. Have a promotion in town, have, promoted as just the town VIC instead of the area VIC. We could take the money and maybe, I don't know, can we go over and ask, can you leave it as status quo and just go till next month, or do you have to have it revisited and retendered? I mean, at 15,500, that's quite a bit of money for.
I think it has to be addressed for this month, this meeting.
I feel like we need to advance this community, and I don't know if visitor information center is still a need when you can go on Google now. I think we need to invest the money in different things for tourism, but we need to look outside the box. We could have like a hashtag my St. George and do different things like that. Possible drone footage, webcams of the gorge. We're not saying don't get rid of the VIC. They're still more than welcome to do it. But do I think $15,000? For it when we can do something more with that?
I agree.
You agree?
I agree.
We did have a very successful run a couple of years ago with, I think it's your town or
Your business.
it's your business
But we
where,
can do something different, like it doesn't have to be just your different places that you.
but
can
people
stop and have a
enjoyed that.
picnic, show
They
the
enjoyed
gorge,
it.
Show the beautiful new gazebo we have down there that's been fixed up with the benches and the picnic
Yeah.
tables and the boat launch.
Community
and-
garden and
Yeah, like.
Canal
that's it.
Beach and,
I think we need to advance, like,
okay.
are visitor information centers big in other towns? Is that still a thing? Like, do other municipalities have those? Does St. Andrews have one?
St. Andrews does.
Yeah, I think they're,
Black's does not anymore.
no,
And we're not saying that
Take it away.
take it away. They can still do it. They're more than welcome to still have a VIC. There's just not the funding from the town. But that doesn't mean you don't give brochures, you don't give maps, you don't give all that stuff, right?
That's right.
So
And we
you're
still distribute.
But just we can put that money into advancing things. To do more social media promotion, to do,
I agree with you, Jenna. So what's our direction here?
How does that work with their seed program that they have in, they got a seed program now out with the province, and it's too late for the town to have a seed
Mhm.
program for a VIC or a.
they could still have
They
their
could,
seed
if they
students.
still had
If they
VIC.
chose to still keep it a VIC.
Okay, so is that something that we know for sure that they will still be able to
Yeah.
apply for the?
If they
VIC?
keep the
Is it
VIC
through the town? Or
No.
is it through their own?
through their own.
So they'll still get.
They
those.
applied for it, not us.
They applied for the students for a VIC. It has nothing to do with the town.
About that.
No, they did. Brenda
They
and
they
then.
would have applied on their own.
They would have applied on their own for sure, but it would have been specific for a VIC.
Right, but if
Right,
they
so
keep,
The VIC is no longer there, we don't.
But we're
retender
not
it, we
saying
don't-
to take it out. We're just not giving the funding for it.
If-
They can still run it,
Okay, as long as that's the case. As
but
long
that's
as
up
we-
to them as a business,
Well,
not
I don't
us.
know if it is or not, if it's,
Yeah.
if the province says that they're not running a VIC with with the town grace, which we will give them the grace, right?
oh, yes, we would.
Okay,
If, I mean, that would have to be a conversation.
right. And I
Yeah,
mean, if they don't want to, then it's nothing we can do about that, but then they lose their seed program, so. I'm just looking at 2 jobs too, you're gonna lose if that's the case.
But
If that's-
potentially, we could create 2 new jobs at the
Somewhere
town. We
else.
have that office upstairs that we're looking to lease out. So could we have 2 summer students go around the community and do some different advertisement,
That'd be great,
more community involvement?
maybe 4 jobs.
So,
Yes.
so what's our directive here?
I make the motion to not refund it.
Question is whether to tender.
Yeah.
To tender or not. If it's not,
Do-
it's not the interest of council to tender, then.
How,
Tender.
yeah, what is the interest? Jenna's?
I
Not,
second it.
okay, so motion to not retender Visitor Information Center.
as
That's
long
not
as-
saying that it can't come back in another year.
And as long as that we go and talk to the vendor now that has it and ask them if they want to continue.
Well,
with it.
and with conversations, yeah.
And we still
But-
need to use that money as allotted for tourism.
Okay.
Sorry,
Motion made by Counselor Murray, seconded by Deputy Mayor Harris.
question, or
Yeah,
I just want to make sure it's clear that we are going to go and talk to the vendor and ask them if they would like to continue with it without funding.
yes,
And
definitely.
we'll still use
Brochures
that
and
money
whatever.
for tourism.
You, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, part of the budgeting for that is under tourism promotion, so.
Okay, motion carried. All in favor, yeah, motion carried. Brenda? Brenda? Oh, sorry, Counselor Allison? Welcome back. Okay, moving on to 12C, resolution of council, third and final reading by title only of bylaw 25B-2101, a rezoning of PID 15174-642 from an R2 zone to an R1 zone for the purpose of locating a mini home as the main use of the property. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Counselor Murray,
I'll second it.
second by Counselor Allison. Any questions?
Just one question. And they're gonna have to go with all bylaws pertaining to an R1.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion carried. Old business, seeing none, moving on to correspondence. We do have some correspondence.
I just want-
Okay. This is from the Charlotte County Archives. Dear Mr. Cadet, I am writing to express our deep appreciation for the support the town of St. George has given us with a grant of $500 just received. Please convey our thanks to the mayor and councilors. We understand how significant this is at the time of deep difficulty for all accounts, and I can assure you that the country contributes an even more significant part of our small budget. With the support we receive, we have been leading an active program despite the pandemic. We are very excited to have just launched our new website at www.ccarchives.ca and are now actively developing a program to work with the local schools on raising awareness of local history and its values. We are recruiting volunteers interested in transcribing historic documents in our collection that are written in cursive writing and will soon become undecipherable, as people are no longer taught it in anymore in schools or at home. Sad. We are also planning how to increase our efforts to record oral histories from our aging populations once the pandemic restrictions permit. And we are also trying to plan our activities for the summer amidst uncertainty, but in the hope that we will be in no worse than yellow zone restrictions, and the staycation will be the theme again this year. We even hope that we may be able to hold on to our archives roadshow again in several communities if conditions allow. Thank you very much for your support, and let us hope we will be able to move freely around the county once again before long. Sincerely, Franklin Carty. That's very interesting. Next one's from John Williamson, Member of Parliament, New Brunswick Southwest. Dear Mayor Avery, on December 11th, 2020, the House of Commons unanimously passed a motion introducing my colleague, Conservative MP Todd Doherty, to bring a national 3-digit suicide prevention hotline to Canada. It read that given the alarming rate of suicide in Canada constitutes a national health crisis, the House call on the government to take immediate action in collaboration with our provinces to establish a national suicide prevention hotline and consolidate all suicide crisis numbers into one easy to remember 3-digit 988 hotline that is accessible to all Canadians. My colleagues and I are asking all municipalities across Canada to pass a similar motion, which I have attached for your consideration. In order to make the 3-digit 988 hotline a reality, elected officials from all levels of government must continue to put pressure on the government and the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission, CRTC. The past year has been a challenging year. Lives and livelihoods have been lost. We have begun to see the devastating impacts that COVID has had through isolation on the mental health of Canadians. The rates of suicide continues to rise as elected officials and as leaders, and especially during the period of difficulty as a nation. Canadians are counting on all of us to make a difference. Please consider passing this motion as soon as possible. Sincerely, John Williamson, MP, New Brunswick Southwest. So support for a 988 crisis line. Whereas the federal government has passed a motion to adopt 988, a national 3-digit suicide and crisis hotline. And whereas the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has increased the demand for suicide prevention services by 200%. And whereas existing suicide prevention hotlines require the user to remember a 10-digit number and go through directories or placed on hold. And whereas in 2022, the United States will have passed the national 988 crisis hotline. And whereas the town of St. George recognizes that this is a significant and important initiative to ensure critical barriers are removed to those in crisis and seeking help. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town of St. George endorses this 988 crisis line initiative, and the staff be directed to send a letter to indicate with support to our local member of parliament of the Legislative Assembly, Federal Minister of Health, the CRTC, and local area municipalities to indicate our support.
So moved.
This is a very important move by Councillor Deputy Mayor Harris, seconded by Councillor Allison. This is a very important number. There is a lot of help out there, but there's a lot of numbers to have to remember to get that help. This one number may save a lot of lives. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Statements by members of council. I'll start off. I just wanted to put a reminder out there. The municipal elections are in May. Nomination papers can be submitted starting March 20th. That's a week, no, 2 weeks from now, and ends on April 9th. Hoping those that put their name forward will give voters time to do due diligence. Let us know who's going to be running. And it's a great way to serve your community. That's everything for me. No? Okay. Any public presentations? Okay, Sharon?
I just like to make an observation. The motion that was passed by council with regards to the BSC,
Mhm.
I think the CAO might like to reference that and believe that's legal because she did not have required number to pass a motion.
We are one.
And you only had 3, not 4. So that would not be your form to pass a motion. Just an observation.
We will check on that. Thanks.
With that as well, it's, if there's not a motion as well, the original intent was to the tender.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Okay. Check that out.
Okay. Here, any other? So we can, it wasn't a motion. I don't know.
Thank you for reading. Brought my family here because I know that the 5 minute window, so you cannot go over the review time. First of all, some good news. We just got the delivery of a new greenhouse action, which we hope is going to bring another 2 workers in St. George in the summer, stay the summer. Come to the council about a month and a half ago, first of all, there is public interest in the matter. We just finished a very long interview with the CBC, which is going to air this Wednesday, bringing forward my concerns about the novelty of introducing mining claims inside the town. I have, as in correspondence, which I do not see being brought to the council, I had some very interesting conversations with the chief administrative officer, Mr. Godet. I think that the town is aware that there is a hearing with the mining commissioner to discuss some of the concerns that I have raised with regards to impacts on my business and my house. The most critical, the most immediate and critical of it is that from the day I have received the notification about a mining claim, I am obliged to disclose that to any financial transaction that I have when I seek financing in which I use the property as security, where my daughter tries to get a mortgage to build a house. So I have not yet got an estimate of how much this is going to cost me, but this is a concern that I have, that somebody has to pay for that. I pay my taxes for this residential lot, and I was expecting that I can use it according to the rules and build a house with the same rules that everybody applies to everybody. So the reason for which I have been communicating with Mr. Godet was there is a hearing coming up in March 19, in which I understand that it is important that other stakeholders which may be affected at least put their concerns on the record. And I know that you have, I know from a letter that you sent me, Your Worship, you have been doing some investigations the town, talking to the minister and talking to the province rather, and talking to the company. And you have encouraged me to continue pursuing the resolution of these issues through the commission. I have sent to Mr. Godet a letter for the consideration of the council, essentially asking for 3 matters to be brought to the attention of the commissioner. The first one is I would have liked the town to express an interest to shortening the period of uncertainty that afflicts people who have a claim on their land inside the municipality. The second one is the town to express also the opinion that if negative financial impacts result from the novelty of having a mining claim on a property inside the town, there ought to be some protection in the form of a security that I can apply if I have a case to get compensated. And that is one of my requests to the commissioner. And the third one is related to the second, and that is the issue that I'm raising are common to any time there is a mineral claim on the land. But the particular thing of having these claims on residential property or commercial property in developed areas is that the securities required by the Mining Act will not even touch it, will not even cover it. Like the province requires $3,000 per hectare for damages that may occur on the land. $3,000 per hectare are sufficient if you have a damage on a woodlot in the middle of nowhere, but they will not cut it if somebody spills oil in my yard while he's prospecting or something similar. Don't have the expertise to contemplate all the possibilities, but I'm saying simply the reason for which the banks have this concern is because if you talk about the house, the liabilities are much bigger. I have given a copy of my application to the mine commissioner to Mr. Godet some time ago. So I believe that the town is aware of what are the issues and what I'm asking. The reason for which we are here today is because we have put forward a request for the town to issue a communication to the commissioner. It's not a binding communication, it's a communication that simply identifies some issues which are similar to the ones that I identified and asks the commissioner to consider it. Mr. Godet brought up to my attention that this is a good idea for this letter to also be sent to DNR. Because I think that someone has to bring to the attention that, this is a novel thing and has novel implications and not much debate has happened about it. So what I'm hoping today is make sure that everybody in the council has received a copy of that letter, that draft that I have asked for your worship to sign on behalf of the council. And possibly if you have any concern that I can answer today, I will try to do so. There is a deadline. There is a deadline for entering any inputs, which I have already passed on to Mr. Godet. And I just hope that there is nothing controversial about it. I just mentioned to Mr. Godet that I fully understand that the municipality has limited authority with regards to interfering on matters of DNR. But when it comes to direct impacts that can affect the valuation of my property, if you cannot get a mortgage on the residential loan, I'm sure there is a strong case to make that the valuation of that land is lower today than what it was before the claim. So I don't want to actually get into an argument with the town about how much the valuation will be. All I'm asking for the town is the common sense support to actually say, hey, there is an issue here, and we think that you should consider it and do something about it. So there is nothing controversial or radical about what I'm asking, I believe. If I'm wrong, I would have liked to know that I am. But basically, that is the reason for which I'm here, to actually make sure that everybody in the council has received a copy of that letter. And if you have any questions about it, that gives you any concern about the content or the intent, to actually ask me to give me an opportunity to answer.
Okay, thank you. We will have a discussion on this, and Jason, myself will be getting back to you.
Okay, I just wanted to know that makes you know about the deadlines and all that other thing that you have. Okay. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
the time. I appreciate it very much.
Okay, so this concludes this meeting, and next meeting is April 12th, 2021 at 7 p.m.